Good morning, everybody. It is a nice, cold morning down here in Texas. Of course, my name is Josh. I am going to be your host today. Corey has the week off. Corey got a really cool opportunity last night and ended up going to it. So I'm recording this Friday morning instead. For those of you who don't know, I was babysitting pipes for a good portion of yesterday and into the evening and the overnight hours. We got some freezing weather down here in Texas, and I had a heater to decide I didn't want to go on the fritz. So luckily my electricity held up. The ice did not take out the power lines this time around, so I just had to stare with a blow dryer periodically. All that being said, we actually have stuff to talk about this week. Of course, the dawning is now over. We're in the final stretch of Act 2, of Episode 2, Revenant. Act 3 launched earlier this week on Tuesday, and oh boy, to say that this has been divisive is maybe an understatement, the early understatement of the year. I'm going to try my hardest not to sound like I'm just taking a gigantic shit on Destiny. Like we're jumping right into it. It's been like a minute and a half and I just already know what's happening. So I don't feel super great about this mission and about where the story went. Part of that is the absolute lunacy of run here and talk to this person, run here and talk to the same person, run here and talk back to the same person. It got to be so much in that little space, but like that's okay, whatever. You know, we just kind of expect that from Destiny. The actual story itself progresses through the exotic mission, and I gotta be honest, I wasn't a huge fan when they did this last episode with the 3 quote-unquote different, I'm doing that in quotations, versions of Encore. I don't like that they do that in Kell's Fall either. I'm gonna be really real. The other thing I gotta be real about, I have only made it about 2/3 of the way through this story because you know, you have to run the mission 3 separate times. That's a lot to ask people to want to do multiple times, especially when, oh, you want to go get your legend run in so you can get the caddies done and everything. It's a little much combined with, you know, weather and, well, other responsibilities this week. That's a lot to do in a 48-hour span. So my apologies for not having finished the storyline yet. I will wrap that up. However, I have done 2 of the 3 variants, and I have done 2 other runs of this, including a legend run. So I'm gonna talk about the mission at the very least. We'll kind of tackle story implications when Corey gets back. But I gotta say right off the bat, I had a brief moment for about, I guess it was like 5 to 10 brief moments where I was like, man, are we back? Like, low-key, are we back? And I didn't want to fall into the same trap that I always feel like I fall into, which is, damn, I get something really cool, and I'm like, oh, yes, we're back. Like, one mission means that everything's awesome again. No, everything is not, in fact, awesome. I think that, you know, when you get to the first combat area, you know, you're walking through this area of the Tangled Shore, there's just Scorn watching you, they're not attacking you. It's kind of reminiscent of the parlay with Fickrel that you do at the end of Act 1 on the old Gambit map. You're going through this, and you get up to this little open combat arena, and this really reminded me of where you fight Fickrel for the final time in the Forsaken campaign. And it's funny because while we're walking up to it, Joe was telling me, he goes, man, watch this just be like the Hollowed Lair. And when that fight happens with the Hangman, was it the Hangman or the Trickster? It was one of the 2. I was like, I think it's the Trickster, and you're like, oh no. It was like, oh no, is that what's actually happening here? And thank God that's not what it felt like. You get through a little bit of the encounter, and then you get to proceed inside of this awoken structure that has been scornified. Immediately in the middle, you see what can only be described as the love child of Davy Jones's organ and like the organ from Phantom of the Opera. This is a really fucking cool mechanic. I think this thing is awesome. This is really cool. I think this was really special. I would have liked if maybe doing some of the combination. I know that some of the combinations of notes do help you get the catalyst parts. I don't know. I think that would have been like a cool place to start. This big secret keeper at the very beginning of the mission, and the fact that it doesn't really tie it, like if you're just doing the regular mission, it doesn't really help you. You kind of can only touch it on expert, which is maddening to say the least. I found myself really just kind of impressed. This is a cool mechanic, and I know I just said this is really awesome. This is a cool mechanic. Has no bearing on anyone who does not want to do this on Legend. Essentially, you do. I mean, you do play melodies to like open doors, but it's like, oh, you use it so little, it doesn't really matter. You use it like one time, and it's like, oh, hey, there you go. So, one time each run. We really thought this was going to be like a big hub area that we'd keep coming back to in the mission. I am floored at how short this mission is. So you do that. You play a little jaunt. You go into your first hallway. You shoot the rocks, and you go in, and it's like, oh, okay, that's interesting. And then there's a mirror, and I think this is actually a really cool mechanic. Just it was used so fucking late. This would have been a super cool mechanic tying into stuff with the witness. I think with the mirrors and whatnot, with mirrors and with the discombobulated voices, the dissenters. This could have been a really, really, really cool mechanic like 2-3 years ago. And that kind of sums up, I think, where we are with the game. It's like, oh, we're doing things that, we expected years ago, or mechanics that feel like they were from years ago. But this is still kind of cool. You go in and you fight your way through, and the first time there's no timer, and then every time after that it's a 2-minute timer when you enter the mirror realm, and usually you can get right back out. The fact that you have to go in and play Gambit in these is actually really funny to me. It's like, oh yay, we're picking up motes again. I don't know a better way to do that, but all I know is it feels pretty bad that we're still doing this many years after Forsaken, that this is still the method for doing all of this, is just, oh, we'll drop a little triangle and you can go pick it up. It feels a little bad. I will say, the one cool thing is the motes are shared between your fire team, which was really nice. First battle, there's nothing to it. It's super easy. You drop the 2 abominations, you drop the mini boss. Super easy. And oh look, Fickrell resurrects them. And that becomes a theme. Anytime you do an encounter here, Fickrell resurrects whoever you kill. If this is overall such a short mission, though, you can probably blow through this mission in under 15 minutes. If you're not hunting, like, for the anchors and stuff to shoot with the shoddy. That was not super inspiring to me. This did not feel like an exotic mission. It felt like a story mission with a couple of cooler elements, essentially. Encore felt like it was more of an exotic mission, I'm going to be honest. Not just the length, but like the mechanics you do, the special puzzles that were hidden in there. It's like, oh, go find these anchors and shoot them with a shotgun. Hooray. And oh, by the way, you can cheese it. You can just like blow yourself up and reset the checkpoint and go shoot it again. And it's bugged, so like only one person can shoot it at a time. So if you wanted more annoyance, there you go. I found myself really whelmed with this mission. I don't even know if like underwhelmed is what I would say. I found myself whelmed. Like, oh, I genuinely had really been looking forward to this mission since we found out the name of it. At the beginning of the episode, I was like, damn, Kell's Fall. Like, that sounds really cool. Like, I know I just took a bunch of time off from Destiny over Christmas, and I've been traveling. I've been doing stuff with family and friends. I'm really excited to get back to Destiny. I'm really excited to play this mission. And damn, if I wasn't just kind of bummed out. This did not live up to the way. I don't know if a story beat is going to change that for me, but the fact you have to do this 3 times is really aggravating. So I'm already bracing myself to do that in Heresy. And I'll be spacing that out over a couple of days and not trying to do it in one session. But this kind of leads to a larger point that I'll get to in a minute. You get through this, and both times, like, oh, Fickrell's annoyed by you and just summons a minion to take care of you instead. And it's cool. Like, you take out the Hangman, you take out the Rifleman. Like, these are cool things that you're doing. And or trickster, Rifleman. Like, who the fuck the second one is? I'll be honest, guys. I did this really late at night. Um, I find myself being like, yay, I'm doing Forsaken stuff again. It is really hard at this point for me to see a path forward where the Scorn or the Elixni continue to be major parts of the storyline as combatants, like as people that we fight. Both races have basically been annihilated at this stage, and I haven't seen the ending. I have no idea what actually happens. I just know that a lot of people weren't super thrilled with the ending. I look forward to experiencing it for myself because y'all know Mithrax is my boy. I really love Mithrax. I like Ido. Could not give less of a shit about Aramis. I think Fickrell has just been kind of there for a very long time, and I kind of wish we had just dealt with him a few years ago. It's really aggravating that Fickrell is still running around in this story. But this all kind of culminates in you getting this shotgun. Slayer's Fang. This shoddy. So at first sight, this is awesome. I think this is a really cool shotgun that shoots out really, really, really fun rounds. So you have Nightsworn Sight. Dealing final blows to targets grants Nightsworn Sight. Over that time, final blows grant true sight, reload speed, and precision damage is increased, and sub-munitions weaken targets. And it also comes with Heart Piercer. Rounds from this weapon shatter in the sub-munitions on impact. Strong against Overload champs. And of course, the perks that we can get on this. Repulsor Brace, Loose Change, Stats for All, Cascade Point. I don't think that this is actually, like, bad. I want to be really clear. I don't think this is actually bad. I think this is actually a pretty decent, I think this is a pretty decent shoddy. But here's the thing. No one is regularly running shotguns in PvE content. Let's be honest. Unless you need it for a specific weekly challenge or you need it for a specific champ mod, you're probably not running a shotgun too often in high-end PvE content. And I definitely don't know if I'm running an exotic shoddy over something like, say, Ergosum or Microcosm, something like that. I don't know if I'm running Slayer's Fang over that. Or over an exotic primary. I mean, look how many times that all of us have to throw on Outbreak. You have to get through something for the first time. Or, as our, we're out of ammo in every gun, might as well quick swap to this. So, it's a fun gun to play around with, but it kind of falls into the category of a lot of other exotics that we've gotten. Fun, but not ultra useful. Choir of One felt so good because it was so useful right away. It also helped that gun was super busted. I feel like they intentionally shipped this a little underpowered. I cannot imagine this being good at all in Crucible. I haven't tried it in Crucible. I cannot imagine this being good in Crucible. I just find myself going, okay, well, cool. This is something that I will definitely craft a version of, probably with Repulsor Brace. Either Repulsor Brace or Cascade Point. Those are the two I'm probably going to run on this. Not that I don't think that Loose Change is good or Stats for All is good, but those kind of feel like the ones I'm going to be running on here. I don't know. I think that this is I think it's a decent enough gun, and again, like it's fun to play with. I just don't know how I ultimately feel about it as a whole. I think as a whole, this is a pretty rough gun. I want to see some people who are way more intelligent than me talk about this gun first and break down the ins and outs of it, because I'm not really digging it, but it was fun when I was playing with it. I just can't imagine us using this in high end content. Like, yes, it's wiping the floor with red bars, it's not doing a lot else. And I feel like that's kind of the problem that we're in with when it comes to a lot of exotic weapons. They've been getting made for so long. 10 years. 10 years, guys. Exotic weapons have been getting made, and I would argue that a lot of true exotics didn't really start coming until Destiny 2. But usually when you make an exotic shoddy, short of Legend of Acreus, you're making it with PvP in mind. And I don't get that vibe here. I don't get that vibe at all. I think Alathenum, is Alathenum, is that how you pronounce it? The exotic breach loader from this season, I think is personally I find that more impressive as an exotic concept and as an exotic weapon. This is a cool, like, it's, and I guess I shouldn't even say that, like, this is a really cool concept, it just isn't hitting, and with a gun like this, you're really risking it becoming too OP if you tune it too much, and I think that's kind of the fine line you have to walk with some of these exotics now. I think they're really, really worried about doing another Choir of One, which just obliterated everybody, right? So, it's not bad, it's certainly not great, but if you're playing like strikes and stuff, I see no reason why you can't just run around with this and have fun. Or you're playing battlegrounds, you're playing some onslaught. You could probably run around with this for most of it, maybe some rounds of Prison of Elders. But I personally would not be running with this on the Legend version of Kell's Fall. Even I just felt like I didn't really have a great arsenal. So that's just me. That's also like partially in how I play the game. It really throws me into whack, or out of whack. And so overall, just, I don't know, cool weapon. It looks cool as shit. This weapon looks cool. I think that the visuals when it shoots out the submunitions looks awesome. Just, I don't know, it doesn't feel great. I also think shotguns are like really tricky to make feel good in almost any game. I'm not the biggest shotgun user in this game. Occasionally in PvP, but never been a massive shotgun guy outside of when Ikelos was the meta, and that was, oh god, way back in Warmind. So Warmind, and I think maybe one season after that, Ikelos shoddy was just chef's kiss. So I typically like to keep that second slot open for a rocket sidearm, an SMG, something like that, because I like to do kind of longer range with my primary, do a pulse or a scout. Speaking of weapons, though, we got two new legendaries drop this week. We got the Red Tape Stasis Scout Rifle and Heretic's Favor, a Stasis rocket launcher. I want to start with the rocket launcher. I'm not the biggest fan. I have not gotten a good roll on this. Big shock. It's only been out for like 3 days. I have not gotten an amazing roll on this just yet. I do think there's some good perks on here. You can get tracking in that first column. You can get tracking. You can get field prep. You can get auto loading, which basically everybody loves auto loading. You can get Rhyme Stealer, which interesting. You can get Quick Draw. You can get Slide Shot. If I was going in that first column, I'm probably going tracking or auto loading. The second column is where I get interested. You got Harmony, Cascade Point, or excuse me, that's auto loading. Let me start again. Explosive Light. Jesus Christ, I'm so tired. Quick Draw. Quick Draw apparently can roll in both columns. That can't be right, unlike GG. Bipod, Frenzy, Vorpal, and Chill Clip. It's really hard to go wrong with Chill Clip or Explosive Light. I think those are both really, really good. Still tired and true. It says a lot that Vorpal is not one of the more popular wants on this gun. That just shows you like kind of how far we've come with weapon perks over the last couple of years. I still like Bipod. I personally am still a Bipod fan, but I think if I was going to do that, I would have to have auto loading for sure. If I was going to do Bipod, I still really like Chill Clip though. Man, bump in the night with Chill Clip is still one of my favorite legendary rocket launchers. I know it's not as good anymore, because they had to nerf the interaction it had with the Wolfpack rounds, which is what really made that thing king. But it's still very fond memories of that gun and making sure I could get it crafted and things like that for Pantheon. Really like that. And then Red Tape, the Kinetic Scout or the Stasis Scout. So I have a rifle, apologize. It's like GG has it, Stasis Kinetic, because it's in the Kinetic slot. I really like this. I like what I've gotten to play around with so far on it. The roll that I was rocking the other night with this, let me pull this up on Dim. I was rocking Headstone fourth times with Flared Magwell. That's kind of my ideal roll, to be honest. I don't know if you guys know this. I like a mean scout rifle. And for me, I mean, fourth time's absolutely one of the GOAT choices here. I really like it. I think that I think that's probably the best one you can get. You can get Demolitionist on this. In that first column, you can get Demolitionist fourth times, Attrition Orbs, Lone Wolf, Keep Away, Closing Time, and Rhyme Stealer. I do like Rhyme Stealer. For those of you still who are, maybe getting familiar with the perks, kind of like I am. Rhyme Stealer is where you destroy the stasis crystal or defeat a frozen target, gives you frost armor. I do think that's really cool, especially on a gun like this. It's more long range. I like the idea of it, especially if you're running a state. The thing is, for Rhyme Sealer, obviously you got to be running a full stasis kit. When you run something like fourth times with something from the second column, you don't really need that as much. The second column is awesome, though. You got explosive payload at the very top, which has long been a favorite for a lot of us. You've got Rampage, you've got Adrenaline Junkie, you've got One for All, Focused Fury, you've got High Impact, and you've got Headstone. Headstone is what I'm going with here personally. And you combine that with Rhyme Stealer, you can do really good. Combine that with four times like I am, and I think it gives you a really, really, really awesome combination, something that's really potent. I'm still a Focused Fury fan personally, but I understand why in this column you wouldn't want that as much. My only complaint, so this is at 200 RPM. I'd like it to fire just a little bit faster, just a tiny bit. But it fires roughly about how Night Watch, I think that's the old Gambit scout rifle. I haven't used it in years at this point, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. I think it's Night Watch. It's semi-comparable, I would say. Yeah, Night Watch, that's what it is. It's a 200 RPM, just like that. And that probably explains why I like it. I always liked Night Watch a lot. So I think this is a really solid gun. This is one of my, I don't know if I'd go so far as to say a favorite, but it's one of the more favorable weapons that we've gotten out of this season. I don't think that this episode has had, I haven't run around saying, oh, I think this is an amazing episode for gear. And I mean that in the nicest way humanly possible. I have not run around being super impressed. And obviously I'm leaving the dungeon weapons. The dungeon weapons were awesome. The AR, of course, both grenade launchers, those are awesome. I just the rest of the set really hasn't done it for me. I want to be just completely honest. The rest of it really hasn't done it for me. I think Liturgy is okay. Exuve, okay. I like the live fire scout that can drop. That's a world drop though. In terms of other actual gear that can drop from the activities, I don't know. Nothing's really doing it for me. Vantage, I will lie. I did lie to you. I think Vantage Point has kicked ass. That has quickly become one of my favorites. I have both Jolting Feedback and oh god, what's the other perk I have on it? I just equip it without even thinking. I want to say I have Stats for All on mine. I don't remember exactly. Let me pull it up on Dim, since I still have Dim open. Yeah, Jolting Feedback, Stats for All is what I've been running on it. And I really, really like that gun. I know it's not the ideal combination, but I really like it on that. That thing is an absolute monster in shred stuff. I was using it in contest on Vesper's Host, and I've continued using it. So really, really like that. Had a lot of fun with it. Insurmountable. I'm getting more used to Insurmountable. Don't know if I really love it. Not the sidearm I would necessarily be picking. Sovereignty, the scout rifle, it's fine. The SMG is fine. Bittersweet, I think, has, funny enough, kind of climbed up my list of guns that I like this episode. It's fine. And, you guys just heard what I think about the new weapon. So, yeah, overall, not super thrilled with this episode's guns. In stark contrast to last episode, where I liked probably 2/3 of the weapons that could drop from the seasonal activities. And even Wish, where I thought it was a decent arsenal. But that leads me to the point that I really wanted to make tonight, and that is, I think we can all mostly agree. I know there's going to be some that don't agree with this, but I feel like it's a pretty common opinion that episodes have, by and large, been a failure. Episodes are longer, more drawn out seasons, and honestly, this episode felt worse than previous seasons because you get everything dropped at once, which, keep in mind, I was somebody who championed this, but it really lays bare some of the issues with the game structure. Previously, when it was like, oh, go talk to this person, go do an activity, come back and debrief, listen to a radio message, that was still okay because guess what? You were doing that once a week, and then, oh, well, I'm already here. I'm going to go run some other stuff. I'm going to go run stuff with my friends. Oh, that only took like 20 minutes of my time. I'm going to go do some other things. I'm going to go run some GM. So I'm going to go play some Crucible. I'm going to play some Iron Banner or something. Maybe I'll go get a dungeon run in. This episode, really from the end of Echoes, and then especially in this episode, I've seen my playtime plummet. I don't know if it is just a me thing, if I finally have hit the point of I'm just exhausted and burned out and I'm tired of feeling like I'm doing the same thing all the time. I have not been engaged with this episode, and it's a shame because it really feels like this was an episode that was tailor-made for me in a lot of ways. Onslaught, I can pretty easily point to as, well, damn, I'm just tired of Onslaught. We had a whole edition of Onslaught earlier this year with Into the Light. Okay, cool. Like, I think the upgrades are better this time around. I think Onslaught Salvation is generally more fun to me. I like the maps a little bit better, but okay, sure. Prison of Elders, something that I have championed for years as coming back as an activity. And I would actually like for them to find a way to keep this in the game. I think it would be really cool to find a way to keep this in the game. Again, I just have found myself, I did a couple runs when it first came out, and I was like, with our good old friend Nerd, and I was like, nope, I think I'm good. I think I'm good on this. I went back and did some, I've done some this week as well, trying to craft some of the tonics I've missed out on, and it was fine. It was fine. That fine does not mean bad. I want to be really clear. Fine does not mean bad. It was just fine. I do enjoy how the challenge ramps up on you in there. I like it. If you're going with a pre-made fire team, it's a lot more fun than playing with randos, for sure. It's kind of similar to Coil in that feeling. So I am still enjoying that. And then, you have the exotic mission, which just, as far as keeping my engagement going. The only positive I will say coming out of this is we only have 25 days until the episode Heresy drops. Heresy, I don't want to make it sound like Heresy is like my make or break point, but it kind of feels like it's getting to the point where that maybe this may be the end of me playing multiple days a week. I feel like I've reached that point now where I'm not enjoying myself. I'm not having as much fun. My enthusiasm is kind of at an all-time low, which is a shame because you guys know I'm unashamedly honest with how I feel about the game. I've always tried to find the positives. Like I said before Christmas, I'm not going to lie. We're not in a great place. I'm not in a great place when it comes to playing this and engaging with the content. And that's led to me thinking about a lot of things. I think that ultimately them recognizing right away that episodes was just not working, but they had to commit to it because it was already planned, that's a semi-good sign, I think, for the rest of us going forward. That's a good sign for the coming seasons. We still don't know. We're like 6 months away from Apollo launching, and we have no idea what's going on with this yet. Really, more like 5.5 at this point. I assume we are going to get the reveal for Apollo when Heresy launches. I assume we're getting a live stream that day. That, I don't want to sound really dramatic here. That, I think, is the make or break for a lot of veteran players. Engagement is legitimately, not just for me, legitimately engagement's at an all-time low. I cannot tell you the last time I've gone into the tower at like peak playing times. The exotic mission came out and there were 2 people in the tower. And they were not my fire team. It was rough. It was rough. I feel like engagement's at an all-time low. You look at the Steam charts, it's the lowest numbers it's had in quite some time. It's kind of hovering around like 20,000 players. That's not super great for a game like this. That's actually really bad. It's a shame because I think Into the Light and Final Shape were such incredibly high notes. I even think, despite my criticisms of its length and, of some of the narrative framing and mission framing, I think Wish was actually still pretty decent. I'm disappointed. I'm pretty disappointed with how episodes have played out. And just because I'm disappointed with this, I think they weren't necessarily bad. I think that Echoes still had a compelling story to tell. We just didn't get it until the Echoes missions, and it's just, we're standing there listening to dialogue. Like, the actual Encore mission was not good. The Echoes, we still haven't really, seen the whole deal with the Echoes. Keep in mind, this is someone who hasn't finished Revenant yet. I don't know how that's going to play out, but so far, pretty unimpressed with that storyline also. I find myself being really cynical, and I don't like being cynical about this universe, about this game. But for the first time, I've always described that whenever I need to take a break from Destiny, I still have this urge to go play it. I still want to play it because there's no game that feels like Destiny. I'm at a point now where I'm kind of glad nothing feels like it, because I think that would hasten my willingness to take an extended break. The holidays, I'll be honest, the holidays did some good for me. Taking a break over the holidays really did help. I did a Salvation's Edge run right before the holidays. Really enjoyed that. Had a lot of fun with it. Yeah, had a good time doing that. It was great going in and doing that. Did a run of the dungeon the other night. I still really like Vespers. I think Vespers is an incredible activity. Very much looking forward to the dungeon with Heresy. Just, I can't rely on those dopamine hits, which are about to come less and less frequently. It used to be, we had a dungeon or a raid every season. That was a great cadence for us to get into, because then you had exotic missions sprinkled in, and okay, so even if I wasn't super into the season, I was still playing because, I'm ready for this, or, there's great gear to chase, there's gear that I really, really want. Now I'm this is going to be the first season where I have not finished the seasonal title during the season since ever. I've never done this with a season. I cannot exaggerate to you. I don't have a ton left, but the triumphs I do have left are exhausting. 250 fucking captains or barons or whatever they are in Onslaught. I'm at 100 out of 250. That's a lot. That's a lot. I'm at 88% of saboteurs. I still got to do upgrades on equipment in there. And this coming out combined with a bunch of games I really cared about coming out, like Metaphor and Dragon Age and Stalker 2 and Indiana Jones, has kind of made it easier for me to feel like I can dip for a little bit and then come right back, which is good. I'm on track to not finish this season pass. I probably will not hit level 200 in this season. Again, first season pass I've never finished. Now, previously they were only 100 levels, and that was a lot easier, but first time I won't finish a season pass. I'm at 150-ish right now, I think. I don't see myself gaining another 50 levels in 25 days. So I say all that to say that, like, if you are feeling at all like I am, it's totally cool to take a break. It's totally cool to take a break from this game. I want to, the whole reason that I am wanting to take kind of mini breaks here and there, like, hey, when there's content I'm not super thrilled with, I'm still going to engage with it. I'm still going to play a little bit of it because I want to be able to talk about it. I want to be able to critique it, but I'm also going to recognize that I need to step away. I'm really excited for a lot of games coming out. I know a lot of us have been playing Path of Exile 2. A bunch of us have gotten really into Marvel Rivals. That's great. You know, there are so many titles that are coming out in February. And it's funny because, like, a new episode is launching, a new dungeon is launching. I'm very excited for the dungeon. I already have my plans for with my group to do it. The week after the dungeon comes out, Avowed is dropping. That's a huge game for me. If you guys have ever heard me talk about video games, you know how much I love Obsidian. Very excited for Avowed. Pretty excited for the Yakuza Pirate game coming out. Monster Hunter Wilds is the end of February. That's going to be huge for a lot of us. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is coming out. Assassin's Creed Shadows just got delayed, but you know, you look at some of the other titles coming this year and it's like, holy shit, like you gotta budget your time. And you gotta budget your time. And I think that my exhaustion is kind of reaching its point more as, because I'm a content creator, I feel like I have to rush and do the content as soon as it comes out so that we can talk about it, we can break down things like that. After almost 5 years, it's just become exhausting to keep up with it. It is near impossible to do that, to have a life. This is just one game, but like I have to make sure I set aside this one game. It's not like, oh, like when we do Xbox Casuals, I can talk about like what I've been playing and like what games I've been engaging with on Game Pass or, you know, on Xbox or PlayStation or whatever. Like, the Switch 2 is on the way. We're getting that reveal here in the next few weeks. We're getting a developer direct from Xbox. We're probably getting a PlayStation State of Play in the next month or two. Like, we are starting to see what 2025 is going to look like, and I need to see something on Frontiers. I need to see something on Apollo that isn't just a blog post at this point. So, you know, sorry for rambling and sounding like I'm complaining. I know that, you know, there are some people that you could compare me to at this point that like to complain a lot in the community and, you know, in content creation, and that's, you know, truly never my intent is to come off negative. But I also feel like it's really important to just be honest with y'all about how I'm feeling and where I'm at with the burnout cycle. Like, we've all talked about it, but I mean, you could go all the way back to Haunted and kind of see the seeds of it start. That was kind of where the exhaustion with seasonal content started with me, and then having multiple lackluster seasons did not help. You had Plunder, which I really felt was the first lackluster season since they had revamped them. And it was like, oh, that's like the first bad season in almost 2 years. Like, oh, okay, fine. And then you had Seraph, which was awesome. And then we go into Lightfall, which, you know, I was still higher on Lightfall than a lot of people were. I really, truly was. I was higher on Lightfall, I was higher on Ron than a lot of people. But the seasons that came after, not amazing. Defiance, not great. Deep was good. I really like Ghosts of the Deep. I think Witch was pretty great in concept. Love the Deck of Many Things. Sorry if you can hear the car in the background. My asshole neighbor was revving his car up. And then I think Wish was like, okay, sure, Coil is the best activity we've ever gotten in one of these seasons. Not even gonna lie to you. Coil was awesome. Everything else, not so much. You have Into the Light, which, yes, we count Into the Light as a season here at Tower Casuals. And now you've had 2 episodes, and man, we're gonna be what? We're about to be 8 months removed from the final shape. And I just feel like the content has not been great in that 8 months. Final shape was such a definitive, great note at the end that I find myself... I think that's also part of my frustration, is I loved Final Shape so much. I loved everything about it. I've told you guys, I think it's the best expansion. I think it's got the best exotic mission in the series in Dual Destiny. I think it's got, you know, the best raid in Salvation's Edge. It's certainly one of the more challenging ones. And yet, that didn't really move the needle for a lot of people. It was like, oh, you saw an influx of player numbers, and that was people coming back to finish the story off. And we're going to go through this cycle until it's dead. But I do feel like we are approaching a point that if some changes are not made to the game, and I do not know how to make the changes. I truly don't. That if changes are not made, your player base just isn't coming back. And I feel like so many of them have moved on now at this point. Like a lot of content creators that I used to watch have just kind of moved on, or they put Destiny on the back burner because, 10 years. 10 years, man. And it's been a hell of a ride. It's just, how much longer does this go? I gotta see what the next generation of Destiny looks like. And even then, I'm going to be really cautiously optimistic because I don't want to get burned again. Like, Final Shape, I was so skeptical going into the Final Shape, and then Final Shape was amazing. It was amazing. I got that dopamine hit, man, for like 3 months. All I wanted to do was play Destiny. From the time Into the Light came out until, I'd say like mid-July, all I wanted to do was play Destiny. And then I kind of took a big break from gaming in general. And I just don't know if I've found that joy in Destiny since, unfortunately. The exotic mission, sure. I think Vesper's host gave me a bit of a dopamine hit, but again, like, we can't rely on just like a couple of exotic missions and soon to be one dungeon and one raid a year to do this. So I say all that to say I'm watching the future with great interest. I really hope we get a reveal soon. I hope that I get to come back in like 2 weeks and we'd be like, hey, we have a date for a live stream. It's going to be happening. I really, really, really hope that that's the case. So, all complaining aside, we do have a Schwab to talk about. There's not a ton in the Schwab. Of course, I don't know if you guys know this. Revenant Act 3 is live. That's the number one thing we get here. Kell's Fall, blah, blah, blah. We already talked about the new weapons. We do have new artifact perks, and I gotta say, I am a little jazzed about these perks. I did think these were really cool. Column 1, you get the authorized mods grenades. You guys already know how those work. Frenzied Hunger is in Column 2. Rapid final blows while Devour is active grant a bonus to reload and handling. Column 3, Finder's Keepers. Picking up special or heavy ammo grants a chance to receive an armor charge. Heavy ammo grants a greater chance. I do like that. I think maybe my favorite are the last two, though. Void Renewal. While Devour is active, Void Weapon final blows have a chance to generate a Void Breach. And then Old God's Right. After picking up a Void Breach, dealing damage with a Void Weapon creates a rain of seeking projectiles. These fit great into the Vampire Fantasy they said that they wanted to do this season. I really like that. They fit into the Vampire Fantasy. They fit into the Scorn Fantasy. I think that that's really, really cool, and I think that's important. It's a shame we're only going to get through like 3.5 weeks with these mods, though. Really bummed out about that. I think these would have been so cool to have gotten earlier. Although Old God's Right, I'm pretty sure would have broken the game. So I am a fan of this. I think, especially if you can combine Frenzied Hunger, Void Renewal, and Old God's Right, that's really cool. Combining Old Gods, Void Renewal, and Gear Falcons is a really cool combo, too. I'm looking forward to trying that one out. I've seen some footage of people doing it, and it looks nutty. I don't know if you guys know this. I really like Void. I really love running Tether. I don't know if y'all know that about me, but I do. Still really annoyed I can't do it in Vespers after nearly 4 months, but here we are. Hopefully that's in the patch coming out on Tuesday. Fingers crossed. But that's where we are. There are some new tonics that you can go get. I do like that they issued an update to tonics. I don't know if we did an episode when this happened, but this is already live. Legendary tonics are now guaranteed to drop the associated weapon when triggered, rather than being shared across multiple weapon drops. And there's some new volatile tonics which help boost Old God's Right and Void Renewal, which makes them even more lethal. I like that we focused really heavily on stasis earlier in the season. Now we're focusing really heavy on Void. I think it's important to focus on one light, one dark subclass in the artifacts. I think that leads to a healthier gameplay loop. So, big fan there. Strange coin caps are increasing in Heresy from 99 to 199. Cool. I think this is largely because of how expensive those class items are, so you can buy more than like one a week. That's my personal theory, is that, and it helps newer players catch up. And then Assyrian Ciphers and Nightfall Ciphers cap is going to increase from 10 to 30. I love this one. This is great for those of us who like to go in and grind out Nightfalls, like to grind out the Grandmasters, or if you're not me and you're good at Trials, you get to go grind out for that to get the guaranteed weapons that you want. I wish this was already in here because I'd really like to get a rake angle. I still have not gotten a good one. I have not gotten a adept one at all. I would really like to go get an adept rake angle. So, big fan of that. They do note here the cap increase for Assyrian ciphers is one of many trials related changes we have coming in Heresy. All the details coming in the weeks ahead. So, we're going to be looking forward to that. I really hope that the trials revamp is good. God, I need the trials revamp to be good. And of course, it wouldn't be the beginning of January without us voting for Festival of the Lost Armor. Hey, God almighty, I have thoughts on this. They're finally doing what we asked, though. While you'll still vote on which armor set is going to be released during Festival of the Lost, we will commit to producing the runner-up sets later. We aren't promising a specific timeline. They'll typically be released before the next year's Festival of the Lost event. We know a lot of you love the Wizards who didn't make the cut for 2024. We feel the same way, so we're making plans to release those armors during Heresy. We aren't planning on producing all past runner-up armor. We felt like fashion could use a few more Wizard hat options. These armors they're interesting. They're a thing. You have the Slashers and Spectres set. So Slashers, you have the Titan as Jason. You have the Hunter as Ghostface. I'm going to be honest, I'm not a huge horror fan, so I can't tell you what that Warlock is, but it's a pumpkin head. It's like a pumpkin scarecrow thing. And then Spectres. I had to rely on people to tell me what some of these were. I knew that the Titan is Babadook, and the Hunter, I was informed, was Curse of Lorona, and the Warlock is Slenderman. I'm gonna be honest, I don't love these sets being in Destiny, just because I think we crossed a line with all the crossovers a while back, where like once we got the PlayStation sets, it really felt like we couldn't go back anymore. Because even when we got like the Fortnite sets, it still felt kind of organic. Once you got the PlayStation sets, that was it. That was it. Like, it felt like we crossed a bridge we could not return to, and now we're just getting weirder and weirder. The Slimer Ghost and the Ecto 1 chip also, you guys know, did not sit well with me. A lot of the Street Fighter stuff does not sit well with me. We've crossed a bridge that we can't return, though. And I think this is very transparently a way to keep money going into this game. Live service games are really fucking expensive. And hey, there's a good chance Marathon doesn't make it out this year. So Bungie needs to keep operating. I personally, if I'm voting, I like Jason for the Titans. For the Hunters, I could kind of go with either one. I don't really care about the helmet on either. I actually really love both Hunter sets. I genuinely would probably purchase both sets. I really want those. I really want the gauntlets on the Ghostface armor set. I like the gauntlets. I like the chest piece. On the Lorona set, I like all of it. I think you could combine that with like some Hive fashion and just be like really disgusting. Even combine it with like Displacer Beast or something. Maybe some Ghosts of the Deep. There's some really great armor you could do there. For the Warlocks, again, I kind of like the Warlocks. Not the biggest fan of the Pumpkin Dude. I think with Warlocks, you gotta go Slenderman. I think you just have to. Even though I don't know how I feel about seeing somebody run around in a suit, but that's where we are. Yeah, these are choices. These be choices. So it's all good. I don't love it. I don't hate it. I don't exactly like it. I don't know where I fall. I don't know where I fall on all this. So yeah, that's kind of all that we have in the TWAB this week. It's a bit of a bummer. I really thought that the first TWAB back would be a little bit bigger. I expect to see some dev diaries over the next few weeks, maybe talking about Frontiers and Apollo. And I know they said right before Christmas, oh, we're going to be going heads down. Like, how much more heads down can you go? You're going to have to put an end date to the season or to the episode in when Heresy launches. So what's that going to look like? I'm assuming that this is launching in June, no matter what. So just going to be interesting. I am still, despite all my naysaying that I did for about 20 minutes there, still really looking forward to see what comes. I think there are still some really great opportunities and I wanna see what happens. So still excited. There was a really cool video that I saw this week. It's not, I saw it on social media. It's not in the Schwab. It'll probably be in next week's Schwab. Somebody played Through the Fire and the Flames on the organ, and that was really funny to see. That was a really funny edited video. So, all that being said, I mean, this is a fairly short episode, guys. It's just me this week. There's not a ton to talk about, and part of that's on me. I apologize for not having finished the storyline. I am excited to talk about the end once we get there, for better or worse. I'm excited to talk about it. You know, I love my boy Mithrax. I like Ido. I'm hoping that we see Fikril die a final death. I do like that I've gotten up to a point where, like, you created the cure with Ido, and it's just like this little jab. Like, what are we gonna do? Like, walk up and, like, I don't know, stab him with the flu vaccine? Like, what are we doing here? What are we doing here, guys? I do think there are some routes you could have taken with this, and I'm not sure if that's the route I would have personally gone with, but here we are. You know, I'm not in charge over at Bungie. Thank God for you guys. Yeah, thank God I'm not. You guys, you know, I don't want everybody being mad at me for making decisions. So, all that being said, I hope that everybody had a very good dawning season. We did host a dawning fashion contest. As is tradition, Nadiki won it. That should come as absolutely no surprise to anybody. We had a three-way tie and had to do a runoff between Nadiki, Titan, and Fox. And, you know, Nadiki just kind of ran away with it with his best dragon-themed armor. I said it had to be Dawning or Stroll Dragon, since that was the Dawning set that we got this year. But, you know, again, thanks everybody for participating in that one. And thank you to anybody who contributed to our Tower Casuals Awards. We read those off last episode, of course. And yeah, other than that, I don't think we have anything else. We're going to let 2025 kind of get rolling. I know Corey and I have a few things coming up next week. We're doing Xbox Casuals next week. Remember, we're every other week on this show. Xbox Casuals will drop next week on January the 17th. Looking really, really forward to that. We're going to talk some Game of the Year and some predictions going forward for the upcoming Developer Direct for Xbox, which I believe is happening on the 23rd, which is 2 Thursdays from now. So you may get a double episode that week. You may get a Developer Direct, Xbox Casuals, and a Tower Casuals that week. Got to talk to him about that. Next week on the 16th, also, this is not on the Tower Casuals channel. It'll be over on the Boss Rush Games channel. Something that Corey and I have been working on. The Bossies will be going live. Basically, our awards for the entire year, you know, us and all the people over at the Boss Rush Network, as well as some special guests. You guys might want to tune into that. Some special guests are going to be a part of it also, helping us present the awards. Very excited. There's been a lot of work that has gone on into this. I think Corey's been working on it since basically Thanksgiving. Me and him were writing scripts back then, and there was a whole vetting process for the nominees, and I think it's going to be really, really cool. I can't wait to see the finished product. And your boy is presenting a few awards there. I will be presenting, of course, Best Xbox Game. Who else but the host of Xbox Casuals? And also presenting Best Anime. So come by, check that out. That's going to be fun. I'm sure we'll post a link to it in the Discord. Thank you to everybody for listening. As always, I know that this has been kind of an up and down episode. I am still really stoked to see what we get with Heresy. And, I hope to keep making Destiny content. I still really like doing this. I still like the game. Despite what you guys may think, I still do really like the game. I just, sometimes you got to take a break. Sometimes you got to take a break and go play other things. I think I'm starting to find my groove again, despite everything that I said. I think the hook is starting to get its way back into me. So, until next time, we love you, and we will see you guys Starside.